Means that do it. Burger
Welcome to Airchecks with our October Halloween edition. In this hour and next hour, we will be presenting 4 episodes of The Weird Circle. The Weird Circle was a 30-minute, syndicated, supernatural/fantasy series that ran from 1943 through 1945. There were 78 episodes produced. The show's strength was stories from famous writers of the two genres, including Robert Louis Stevenson, Victor Hugo, Edgar Allan Poe and even Charles Dickens. Most all of the stories came from the Victorian era or older. The show obviously had a low production budget. Though the show was aided by selections from famous book authors, it lacked recognizable voice actors. Produced from facilities in New York City, the show drew upon the acting talent there. One of the more unusual aspects of the show was that there was no music, other than between scenes. Some have claimed that this lack of music helps to keep the show from being dated, and it remains fresh to this day. Here is Frankenstein.
The Weird Circle. In this cave by the restless sea, we are met to call from out of the past stories, strange and weird. Bellkeeper, toll the bell, so that all may know we are gathered again in the Weird Circle.
Out of the past, phantoms of a world gone by, speak again the immortal tale, Frankenstein.
The wind howling outside my lonely home is my only companion. All else is quiet here, as I sit by my window in the parlor, writing this document for the scientific world. Be warned, you doctors and scientists who come after me. Be warned that man must not experiment with the secrets of life. My experiences started in the University of Manchester, where I was studying natural history. It was after class, May 22nd, 1818, that Professor Waldman, my close dear friend Henry Clerval, and myself were in the laboratory of the university.
Victor Frankenstein, your persistence amazes me. Someday I shall sit at your feet and allow you to teach me.
Thank you, Professor Waldman. But the whole subject of the structure of man has always been too clouded in mysticism.
Well, frankly, Victor, I prefer mysticism.
That's because you're a mystic, Henry.
Why, Henry's no more a mystic than I am. He just loves to avoid arduous work.
Oh, translating that means I'm lazy, eh, Professor?
Well, if you prefer to put it that way, I rather think of you as a student whose nervous structure does not take kindly to natural history.
The professor's kinder to you than you are to yourself, Henry.
Well, if I worked as hard as you do, Victor, I should probably wear that same gaunt, sleepless look that you carry about.
Well, my experiment will be finished tonight. And then I'll manage the 8 hours sleep that other men manage.
The secret experiment will be finished tonight, huh?
Well, then, will you tell us just exactly what you're doing in the basement at home?
I'll tell the entire world. As a matter of fact, I stayed after class this afternoon, Professor Wallman, to ask you to join me this evening in the basement of our place to watch the completion of my work.
Oh. Well, how about me?
I don't think I dare invite more than one, Henry. And the professor is more interested in this type of procedure than you are.
I shall be delighted, Victor.
Just the best friend who never knows what's going on in his own home, that's all.
It's not that, Henry. But I thought you'd entertain Elizabeth for me, while the professor and I were at work.
Entertaining Elizabeth will be a delightful favor, old boy. You know, I think you trust me too much with her. Have you ever met Victor's fiancée, Professor Waldman? She's one of the most charming...
Yes, Elizabeth was one of the most charming, beautiful women I'd ever known. I had been in love with her from childhood, but even my love for Elizabeth couldn't dim my passionate zeal for the work I was doing. It was 8 o'clock that evening. Henry, Elizabeth, and I were seated in the parlor. Elizabeth was saying...
I'll be so glad, Victor, darling, when all this is over. If you only knew how tired you look.
The minute my work is done, successfully or unsuccessfully, I promise you, Elizabeth, we'll be married and off to Switzerland before Henry has time to lock up this place.
But first, we find out about the secret in the basement.
Henry's being eaten up by curiosity.
I don't blame him. I'm suffering pangs of what's it all about, too.
Well, you'll both know soon. I wonder where Professor Wallman is. He's late.
He'll be here soon, Victor. Stop pacing the floor, sweetheart.
I think I'll start my work downstairs. Send the professor down when he arrives, will you, darling?
We'll come down ourselves and take a look around. Or will I turn into a pillar of salt for peeking?
Nobody ever turned into a pillar of salt for peeking, Beth. It was for looking back.
Oh, nothing like a good practical working knowledge of the Bible for scientific experiments. It starts the night off right.
Yes, I thought jokingly of that paragraph from the Bible then. And she was turned into a pillar of salt. But what about a man who looks back? There is no ready reference for him or for me. I went downstairs to my laboratory at a little past 8, opened the door, and started to tinker around to pass the time more quickly. My every sense was alive, taut, waiting, with the sense of what was to come. I heard a knock on the side door, which led me from my laboratory directly into the forest, which bordered Manchester. I looked out and...
Good evening, Victor.
Oh, did Elizabeth tell you to come down this way, Professor?
No, I found the entrance to your laboratory quite by myself.
I help you with your coat, sir?
No. You proceed with your work. Nothing like trivialities to annoy a scientist at work. There we are.
Oh, follow me, Professor, into the back room, and you'll see for yourself what this is all about.
Well, I feel that I'm in for a most exhilarating evening. I wish I had more students fashioned in your mold, Victor.
Well, Professor, here is my...
Why, what's this? A full-sized replica of a man.
Yes, only he isn't full-sized. He's fashioned on a grander scale. I should say this creature standing up would be approximately 8 feet 2 inches tall.
Well, you should have been an artist, Victor. He's a perfect reproduction. What did you make him out of? Wood? Clay?
Animal flesh.
Flesh?
Feel him.
Oh, feels like the body of a dead man.
Or the body of a man who hasn't as yet been brought to life. This body is complete in every detail. Heart, lungs, teeth. Even the fine nervous system.
Oh, it's interesting. Yes, interesting. How about the brain cells?
Yes, adult brain cells. I think he's quite handsome, don't you?
Well, each man to his own taste. He's the best reproduction of a man I've ever seen, but actually his face is hideous. As a plastic surgeon, my dear Victor, I'm afraid I can't give you much credit. Well, what do you intend to do with this hulk?
You see this fluid here in the test tube?
Yes.
I filled the hypodermic needle with it. And now I'm going to inject the full 8 ounces into the vein, directly above his heart.
But why?
Watch. You see, Professor, quite by accident, I stumbled on the secret of life. I've been bringing small one-cell creatures to life for quite some time.
The secret of life?
Within 30 seconds, after this injection, this creature will live.
You're trying to play God, Victor. It's heresy.
It's science. I'm making a new race, by far finer than the present one. Larger in structure, stronger, heavier, healthier. A race able to live on nuts and berries, with a greater capacity for feeling.
Victor, for the love of heaven, don't go through with this experiment. No man living has the right to tamper with the secret of life. You've created a monster on that floor. You've no idea what will happen if you go through with this.
Watch, Professor. The injection.
I only hope and pray this is a failure.
It can't be. His eyes moved. Watch him, Professor. He's like a baby, first realizing life. His hands touch the floor. His eyes are trying to focus on the world around him.
He's hideous.
Yes, he's hideous. I made the skin too much like parchment, I'm afraid.
Victor, get rid of that monster.
He's trying to stand up.
If that mind which you've created is a twisted one, have you any idea what kind of horror you've let loose in England? As a humanitarian, I feel it my Christian duty to do this now.
Put that knife down, Professor.
No, I can't let... Oh, he's got me in the clutch of his hand. Command him to stop this, Victor.
Stop fighting him, Professor. He's frightened. He has the same reactions as a child. Grabs and won't let loose.
Let me go, monster.
Stop! Don't go out that door. Put the professor down. Don't go out that door. The monster left my laboratory through the side entrance into the forest, carrying the incredibly mangled body of the professor with him. I rushed out of my laboratory after him, but the creature was faster than I, and he disappeared from view. I returned to my laboratory and destroyed all evidence of the creature's manufacture. I burned the blueprints from which I had made his body. Then, carefully, I locked my laboratory and went upstairs to join Henry Clerval and Elizabeth. I must have looked wild-eyed as I entered the room.
Henry, that's most amusing. You tell the best anecdotes in all of England.
Oh, you flatter me, Elizabeth.
Oh, Victor, you're through sooner than we expected. Darling, what's the matter?
Didn't the professor show up?
Nothing's the matter. My experiment was a failure.
Oh.
But the professor...
He never showed up. Beth, Henry, I want to go away.
Of course, darling, we will, as soon as Henry can get the house locked up.
I don't want to wait. I want to leave at once, tonight. Please, tonight, Beth. We can get married before we cross the channel and then go to Switzerland.
But it's almost midnight now, darling.
What's the difference? Please, Beth, if you love me.
But why tonight, Victor?
Henry, you've no idea what I've been through. I have to get away at once.
Of course, darling, if you insist. Anything you want.
And we'll be married before daylight. Darling, darling, Beth. I know a little minister whom we can awaken. And so Beth and I were married that evening in a little chapel on the coast. Then the three of us fled to Bern, Switzerland. I refused to have anything to do with the civilized world. No newspapers, no word of home. Just the peace and quiet of the Swiss mountains. Henry and Elizabeth both tried to learn of the events which had occurred in my laboratory that evening. But I never broke my silence on that subject. After the first tries, they refrained from asking me about it again. It was in the middle of the 4th month of our visit when Henry and I were sitting on the terrace of the little house in the mountain. Beth was out picking berries when Henry suddenly...
Victor, I'm your closest friend. I've tried to keep silent about... Well, Victor, the day after we left England, I bought a newspaper.
Did you, Henry?
Yes, I saw this clipping on the front page. I couldn't very well miss it.
What clipping?
This one. The horribly mangled remains of Professor Waldman was found on Beekman Hill. The identity of the unknown murderer is being sought by Scotland Yard.
Poor Professor Waldman. I'd no idea.
Hadn't you?
No. What are you trying to say to me, Henry?
You're leaving England so suddenly that very night. Your fear of being discovered, the secret experiment. Well, it all seemed to add up to some kind of strange connection with this clipping. Now, if you're in trouble, Victor, you can depend on me. I'll stay by your side.
I'm not in trouble. I'm just tired, terribly tired.
And you know nothing of the professor?
Absolutely nothing.
He didn't come to our chateau that evening.
I told you he didn't then. Stop questioning me.
Victor! Victor!
We're out here, Beth.
Oh, I've just had a horrible experience. Oh, darling, I'm so glad to see you.
You're pale, Beth. Sit down right here next to me.
Well, what happened, Beth?
Well, I was walking in the woods not far from here when I looked up and saw... Well, I saw a man. Sort of a man standing over me.
Well, men aren't so bad. That is, if you happen to know the right ones. And you do.
I'm not joshing, Henry. He wasn't exactly a man. He was twice the height of anyone I've ever seen. And his skin looked like dried parchment. It's incredible, but I think I've seen a monster.
Monster?
Yes, I ran away. He didn't follow me. He just stared after me, watching me. You do believe me, don't you?
A monster stared after
you? Look, Henry. Victor, through the trees right out there. Look! There he is again!
Yes, the monster stood there, silhouetted against the trees. The monster which I had created, standing like an evil blot of flesh and bone, moved in the darkening twilight. And then suddenly, phantom-like, it disappeared. Beth and Henry both watched me as I started from the piazza after the disappearing creature in the backwoods. As I drew near to the heavily wooded section, giant footprints in the soft mud about me showed the path ahead. The sun was sinking in the west, and the last orange pinpoints of light needled my flesh until every sense within me was tingling with the expectations of seeing my living horror. Then I realized I was unarmed. Every crooked tree, each twisted branch which obstructed my path, appeared to be his form. I heard the crackling of a branch and the moving of a form on the velvet moss.
I thought you'd come, Creator.
You.
Are you frightened, Creator?
You dare talk to me?
Please, don't turn away from me. Please.
Let me go.
I mean no harm to you. Listen to me, Victor Frankenstein. You must listen to me. You created me. You owe me that much.
I owe you nothing, murderer.
Why am I a murderer? Because you created a form so horrible, a face so distorted, that no man can look upon me and call me friend. I'm an outcast. You can save me.
Let me go.
Not until you hear my story. Sit down, Creator.
My arm! Let me go.
I wandered through the streets of London that first day. Children screamed in the streets. People flocked together trying to kill me. And I was lonely and hungry.
How did you follow me here?
Not so long ago, I returned to my birthplace, the laboratory, broke in and discovered your identity. But first, I fled to Scotland and lived outside of a cottage. That's how I learned to speak. An old blind man was teaching a young French girl to speak English. I listened to the lessons from the open windows.
Now, what do you expect of me?
A companion. A woman of the same species, with my defects. One who will be my friend. This being you must create.
No, I'll not do it.
You must. Every man's entitled to a wife.
No.
You must. If you create her for me, I'll take her with me into the far wastes, and no one will ever see either of us again. Ever.
How will you live?
On fruits and berries. We'll manage together. Please, you can't deny me this.
A mate. A monster's mate.
You will? You will. I swear, I'll never harm another human. Never create her. If you'll only grant me just one companion.
And if I refuse?
If you refuse, even a brain that you have made, Creator, might become twisted and distorted.
And so that night in the forest, I made a devil's bargain. I bargained to create a monster's mate, perhaps another murderer. How could I know? The monster swore to live in the forest and wait a year or 2 years if necessary. And upon completion of my work, he would take his companion away. But if I broke my promise, he swore revenge. And so I started work. I searched Paris for the necessary equipment, built a shack in the woods about a mile away from our chalet. 3 months I worked, 3 solid months, shaping her who was to be his mate. And then one night, it was windy outside. I thought the wind had blown the door open when...
Victor, I'm sorry. I had to disturb you.
Is it Beth?
No, not Beth. She's fine and sends her love. It's the townspeople. Your activities have stirred up a lot of curiosity.
Oh, the fools!
Well, I can't blame them, especially after the rumors which have been going around. Rumors of the... Victor, you know the monster in these forests. You've known of him all along. People have seen him and connect him with you. Mothers in the village are frightened of their children.
I know nothing.
Look, I'm only trying to help you.
I know nothing, I tell you.
But the men have banded together. They're going to make a raid on you here, to burn your laboratory down, and to find the monster who lives in these woods.
They can't. They mustn't.
Oh, what devil's work are you carrying on, man? I'm trying to help you. Oh, Victor, will you please let your friends be your friends?
Henry, go back to Beth and leave me alone.
Beth is safe at home. You're in danger, and I won't leave your side this night, my friend.
Then be prepared.
Prepared for what?
You've guessed many of the reasons for my secrecy.
Then there is a monster.
At school, I stumbled on the secret of life. I was trying to create a superior race. I was a fool, and I created him instead.
And he does live?
Yes, he lives.
Professor Waldman. What happened to Professor Waldman?
The night I created the monster, Waldman became frightened. He screamed, attempted to kill the creature. The creature, like a child, warded him off and then tore him to pieces in front of me. I couldn't stop him. The monster had killed before it had really begun to live.
Then what?
The monster left the basement through the side entrance, carrying the professor's corpse. I had no choice. I had to leave the country.
Oh, what are you doing with that creature now?
Fulfilling a promise. Follow me into my cabin and I'll show you. How soon do you think the townsfolk will be here?
Oh, within 2 hours or so. They're meeting in the square in town.
Come in.
What? A woman?
Yes, a woman. The monster's mate, his friend. I promised him a friend, and in return he swears to hide himself forever from the world.
A devil's bargain, Victor.
A bargain I must keep for all our sakes.
But the monster proved himself a murderer time and time again. Why, in London, after the death of Professor Waldman.
Time and time again.
But how do you know that the mate won't be even more vicious than he? You'll let loose an avalanche of hatred. Oh, destroy her before you bring her to life.
Yes, avalanche of hatred.
Look, you've no time to waste. Set fire to this cabin quickly, Victor. Set fire to the cabin and come away. Why, man alive, you can't go through with this thing.
But the promise.
It's a promise to a fiend. He'll be your death and ours, Victor. Oh, hurry, man, hurry, if you've any love for Beth.
I've been insane with grief and fear for Beth and you. Go back to Beth, Henry, at once and wait for me.
And you?
I'll set fire to the cabin as soon as I destroy my books. I'll join you later.
Well, hurry, friend. We'll meet you home as soon as you can make it.
For 1 full hour, I worked feverishly. I soaked the shack in oil, and then taking a taper from the vase, I lit the fire. The fire started quickly. I placed my books in the very center of the room, and then opened the door of my shack. The experiment was at an end, and I felt free. The monster's mate would never live. I walked out, and then I saw him. his face contorted with rage.
Ah! My wife! My only dead devil friend! Ah! My only dead!
I knew then what was in his mind as he raced through the forest in front of me. The blazing shack was a beacon of light, and I saw his huge, misshapen form outdistance me, far outdistance me. He was faster than I, taller than I, and covered more territory. Racing, running blindly through the forest, I reached my home. The door of my home was flung open. Henry, mutilated and torn, stumbled blindly toward me.
Victor, the monster.
Henry, what?
I tried to, Victor.
Henry, you.
Beth, no. Upstairs.
Beth, I'm coming, darling, I'm coming. I'm coming upstairs. I'm coming, darling, I'm coming. If you kill her, Beth! Beth, oh, my darling. My darling. Oh, Beth, no. No. Both you and Henry. Both dead.
You too are alone, Creator.
Yes. Both of them were dead. All my dear ones gone from me now. And I'm alone. The wind howling outside my window is my only companion. All else is quiet as I sit by my window, writing this document. I am dying of loneliness and fear, shunned by the world, hated by everyone. I know I am waiting only for the monster's return, and he, having eluded the world, will return when I've suffered my full share of misery, as he has suffered his.
From the time-worn pages of the past, we have brought you the story Frankenstein. Bellkeeper, toll the bell.
From the time-worn pages of the past, we have heard another immortal tale in The Weird Circle. Bellkeeper, toll the bell. Be here in this lonely cave by the restless sea once again next time for another immortal tale in The Weird Circle.
That was The Weird Circle entitled Frankenstein. Here is the werewolf.
Can the dead return to life? Listen to the Weird Circle. The Weird Circle. In this cave by the restless sea, we are met to call from out the past stories strange and weird. Bellkeeper, toll the bell, so all may know we are gathered again in the Weird Circle.
This is Weird Circle time at the Ogden's Playhouse. Tonight we are to hear a radio adaptation of the Frederick Marriott story, The Werewolf. There's an eerie and unusual atmosphere to this story which makes it a good choice for this Weird Circle series. It's a story that recommends itself for good listening. In its own field, Ogden's Fine Cut Tobacco is the recommended choice for good smoking when rolling your own cigarettes. There's no substitute for quality. That's why Ogden's wins consistent top preference. Ogden's is the choice of smokers who demand the best. Try a package. You'll find Ogden's easy to roll, delightful to smoke. Yes, easy to roll, delightful to smoke. And now our story, The Werewolf, by Frederick Marriott.
Out of the past, phantoms of a world gone by, speak again the immortal tale, the werewolf.
Don't be frightened. It's only our neighbor's dog baying at the moon. Go to sleep. You are safe here with my husband and me.
Where are you, good wife?
Here. Shh. The boy's trying to sleep. What news of his father?
Peace to his soul. He was raving mad by the time I got him to the hospital. It was brain fever. How's the boy?
Poor little lad. He says they walked all the way from the Harz Mountains. And he's only 11. He was starved. Ate his supper as if he'd never seen food.
There's tragedy back of all this, good wife. When the boy stopped me on the road and asked for help, there was terror in his eyes.
The wolf! Help me! Oh, help me!
Oh, quiet, boy, quiet. Nothing to fear. You're safe here by the sea. There are no wolves here. Just lie quietly, boy. I want to talk to you.
Yes, sir.
By what name are you called?
Herman. Herman Clarence.
Well, Herman, I'm afraid I have sad news for you.
My father is dead?
Yes.
That is not sad news. I thank heaven.
What?
Why? Because my father is free of the evil one and his curse. Now there's only me. But I must go. I must hurry. I must get far away from the forests and the mountains.
Oh, lie back, child. Wait a bit. There are no mountains or forests here. Only the calm sea.
What do you fear, Herman? Let me sit beside you. Don't be afraid. You kissed me. Is that so strange? Oh, it is very strange. You're kind and good, and yet you are a woman. Poor motherless little one.
It might help you lose some of your fears, boy, if you told us something about yourself. You were born in the Harz Mountains?
No, mynheer. We lived in Hungary on the estate of a great noble. My father was steward. And what about your mother? She ran away from us when we were very small. My brother Caesar said it was because of her that my father killed his noble lord.
Oh, I see. Now go on with your tale.
Father took all the money we owned and put us in the sleigh. We drove fast and far until we were out of Hungary. Then he bought a cottage among the tall firs deep in the Harz Mountains. And there we grew up.
Your brother and you.
And our little sister, Marcella. We loved her very much. Weren't you very lonely? The winters were long and dark. Father went hunting every day, but shut us indoors for safety from the wolves. He also forbade us to light the fire, so we used to creep under heaps of bear skins to keep warm. We'd talk of that happy time when the snow would melt, the leaves burst out, the birds sing again, and we could go outdoors and play in our garden.
A sad life for children.
No, not sad. We were happy with each other, we three. Until... Yes, Herman, until... the howl of wolf. Father had come from his hunting and had kindled a fire, and we were sitting around it when suddenly a wolf howled close under the window. My father seized his gun, looked to the priming, and ran out, shutting the door behind him. We waited hours, and it was nearly midnight when my brother Caesar went to the door.
I've heard no report of a gun.
Father must have chased the wolf a long way.
Or else...
Oh, no. Father's all right, Marcella.
I will look out and see if he's coming.
Take care, Caesar. The wolves may be close and we cannot kill them.
I'll be careful. I see nothing but moonlight and snow.
Come in, Caesar. Father will come when he can.
I'm hungry.
We've had no supper, but we'll be punished if we do not wait.
Father will be glad to have food ready. Let's cook it for him and for ourselves.
Very well. I'll get down some venison. But, Marcella, can you dress it?
Surely. Haven't I often helped Father? Get the iron pot, Herman.
There. I've cut off lots of slices. Now, put the fat in the pot.
Oh, be careful of the fire, little sister.
Look out the window, Herman. Someone's coming.
It's Father. And there's a man with him leading a horse.
Yes, and there's a lady in the saddle. See how the moon shines on her white face and that lovely flaxen hair.
I'm frightened.
Why, sister darling? She's beautiful.
Hola! Hola! Caesar, open the door. We have guests.
Enter, good sir. I have little to offer, but you and your daughter are welcome.
Friend Hunter, it was good fortune for us that you were out so late. We had ridden far in fear of our lives.
And we would have died of cold and hunger in those mountains had you not heard our horn and saved us.
Come, mistress. Seat yourself by the fire.
The warmth is pleasant.
And the smell of food is pleasanter still. You have young cooks here, Mynheer.
Yes, these are my children. Caesar, Herman, and Marcella.
Welcome, sir.
We have supper already, Father.
Before I eat, I must put up my horse.
Oh, I will take care of him.
Let me go with you.
You needn't trouble. But if you like, come along. I have a shed outside.
What fine boys you are. Come close to me. Good strong arm. Sturdy shoulder. Why do you tremble, lad?
You're so white and shining.
There's no reason to fear me.
You're a stranger.
I'm not strange. We should be friends, But where's the little girl?
She's afraid. I think she's hidden herself in bed.
Gone to bed without any supper? She must have been a bad little girl.
She is not bad, lady.
No, she's good.
You say you were lured away by a large white wolf which howled at this very window?
Yes, I saw it about 30 yards off. The animal retreated slowly, and I followed. I didn't like to fire until I was sure that my shot would take effect.
A white wolf? Of course you were anxious to shoot such a very rare animal.
The wolf would leave me far behind, then stop and snarl defiance at me, then start off at speed again as I neared it. It led me further and further up the mountain to an open space in the forest. And there it stopped and growled. I raised my gun to shoot when suddenly the wolf disappeared.
Disappeared? How strange.
I thought the moonlight on the snow was playing me some trick. But no, she was gone. That's when I heard your horn.
The creature passed us just as we came out of the woods into that glade.
I nearly shot it myself. But since she led you to our rescue, I'm glad I let the wolf escape.
Father, that open glade is the home of the evil ones.
Evil ones? What does the boy mean?
Oh, superstition has it that strange and wicked beings haunt these mountains.
Oh, I must hear more of these legends. Evil spirits interest me.
I confess I was glad to see that you were mortals.
Oh, yes. My daughter Christine and I are just creatures of flesh and blood.
Yes, I assure you, I'm only a woman with very human appetites. And right now, I have a great desire for sleep.
My father made room for all of us, and we crept into our beds. But we couldn't sleep. Father and the strange hunter sat up all night before the fire, drinking and talking. Our ears were ready to catch the slightest whisper.
You say you come from Hungary?
Even so, Mynheer. I served a noble house, but my master was cruel. It ended in my giving him a few inches of my hunting knife. So we fled for our lives.
Well, we are countrymen then, and brothers in misfortune. I, too, have fled for my life.
Your name, ma'am?
Krantz.
What? Krantz? I have heard your story. I am your kinsman, Wilfred of Barnsdorf.
Well, a toast then to welcome you, cousin. You and your daughter must stay here as long as you choose.
So the huntsman and his daughter Christine stayed on in the cottage. The two men hunted each day, and Christine stayed with us and did the household duties. Father was becoming very attentive to Christine. They would often sit up at night talking in low tones before the fire. Then, several weeks later, we learned that Father had asked Christine in marriage.
You may take my child, Krantz, and my blessing with her.
I will duly value her. But there is no priest in this wild country.
Well, there must be some ceremony between you to satisfy your father. Will you? Will you both consent that I marry you after my own fashion?
I will.
I will.
Then take her by the hand and swear.
I swear.
By all the spirits of the Hartz Mountain.
Nay, why not by heaven?
Because it is not my humor. Surely you will not thwart me.
Yes, but why swear by that in which I do not believe?
Father, no, please don't marry her.
Be still, Marcella.
This is scarcely any affair of yours, child.
Well, will you be married, or shall I take my daughter away with me?
Proceed.
Here is the oath writ out on this parchment. Read it. And swear.
By all the spirits of the Hartz Mountains, I take Christine for my wedded wife. I will ever cherish and love her. My hand shall never be raised to harm her. And if I fail in this my vow, may all the vengeance of the spirits fall upon me and upon my children. May they perish by the vulture or by the beasts of the forest. Why, this is horrible. I can't.
Swear.
All this I swear.
Father.
Strange behavior from your children, my husband, on our wedding night.
Stop crying, Marcella. I'm sorry, Christine.
Never mind, my dear husband. I'm not angry. But from now on, the children are my concern. They shall obey me. And I shall love the little darlings.
Friends, the legend of the werewolf is one that has lived a long time in the pages of classical folklore. Many of you are familiar with the legend, and no doubt many of you have a preconceived idea of what comprises the climax to tonight's Weird Circle story. Roll-your-own cigarette smokers everywhere know that there isn't any legend to the story of smoking satisfaction when your choice of tobacco is Ogden's Fine Cut, and you know what to expect every time you light a cigarette rolled with Ogden's. You're certain there can be only one result: complete smoking enjoyment. There's a smooth goodness to Ogden's, a distinctive taste and uniform quality that makes Ogden's, OGDEN''S, Ogden's Fine Cut Tobacco, the leading choice of people everywhere, discerning roll-your-own cigarette smokers who insist on the very best. Try Ogden's and you're sure of top-flight smoking satisfaction. You'll agree that Ogden's is easy to roll, delightful to smoke. Yes, easy to roll, delightful to smoke. And now back to our story. Krantz, a fugitive from Hungarian cruelty, had fled with his small children, Caesar, Herman, and Marcella, to a rude hut deep in the Hartz Mountains. One winter night, while pursuing a white wolf, Krantz is hailed by a stranger and his beautiful daughter, Christine, who were lost in the mountains. He invites them to his humble home, and being glad for the good company he thinks there will be, he begs them to stay on as his guests for as long as they choose. In the days that follow, Krantz falls in love with the beautiful Christine, and though his little daughter cries out in fearful premonition of things to come, he marries her in a strange pagan ceremony.
The next morning, Wilfred the hunter mounted his horse and rode away. Things went on much as before the marriage, except that Christine showed us no kindness now. She often struck us and took special pleasure in ill-treating Marcella. One night, my little sister shook us as we slept.
Wake up, brother. Wake up, Herman.
What's the matter, Marcella?
She's gone out.
Gone out?
Yes, in her night clothes. I saw her get out of bed, Then she looked at Father to make sure he still was asleep. Then she went out the door.
A wolf. She'll be torn to pieces.
Oh, no. Much as I hate her, that would be too horrible.
Well, what can have made her go out all undressed in the deep snow?
She's strange.
She's dreadful. Her eyes flash fire when they look at me. Her teeth are like an animal's.
She certainly eats queerly. Have you noticed she doesn't like to sit at the table? While getting supper, I've seen her tear at a piece of meat that wasn't even cooked.
There she is in the firelight.
She's in her white nightdress.
Washing her face and hands in the water pail. Father hasn't even waked up.
She's going back to bed.
We might as well go to sleep now, but we'll watch again tomorrow night.
The next night and every night, our stepmother rose from bed and left the cottage. And every night the wolf howled under our windows. And always on her return, Christine washed herself, then crept back to bed, and always my father slept soundly. Well, the time came when my brother could stand it no longer.
Caesar, why have you come to bed all fully dressed?
I'm going to find out about these midnight walks.
You'll tell Father?
Not until I know where she goes and what she does.
Caesar, you don't mean that you're...
Yes, tonight I'm going to follow her.
No, Caesar, please don't. Please don't. I'm afraid.
I know you're brave, but I wish you wouldn't go, brother.
I'm going now. There's no use talking.
She's getting up now.
Quiet, you two. There she goes to the door.
Be careful, Caesar. Be careful.
She took Father's gun. Oh, I'm so frightened.
So am I. I'm shaking all over.
I wonder how long we'll have to wait. A shot. Father will surely wake now and find out about her.
No. Listen. He's still asleep.
Someone's coming. Oh, I hope.
It's not Caesar. It's Christine. Shh. Look at her. Marcella, her dress is all covered with blood. Now, what's she doing?
Huh? Who's there?
Lie still, dearest. It's only me.
Oh.
I'm just relighting the fire to warm some water.
Hurry back, Christine mine. You should be asleep at this time of night.
We watched our stepmother change her linen and burn the garments. Her leg was bleeding. She bandaged it and sat before the fire. But where was Caesar? And how did Christine get the wound unless from his gun? Oh, trembling in our bed, we waited. Waited till dawn. Father awoke. Father?
Well, what is it, Herman?
Father, where is my brother Caesar?
What do you mean, son?
Oh, he went out in the night. Marcella and I waited for him. He's not come back.
Merciful heaven. I was restless last night and thought I heard someone lift the latch. Dear me, husband, what has become of your gun?
My gun? What? Great heaven, it's gone.
Caesar took it.
Herman, get me the broadaxe. I'm going to find Caesar.
Oh, why did Caesar go out? What has happened to her?
She's killed. Your whimpering will not help. Here comes your father now.
Father. Oh, Father's carrying
Caesar torn to pieces. Oh.
Clear the table. There. The body of my oldest son.
Quiet, children. Herman, close the door. Husband, your boy must have taken the gun to shoot a wolf. The animal must have been too powerful for him. Poor boy.
At that terrible moment, I wanted to tell Father all we knew, but Marcella held my arm and looked so imploringly at me that I kept silent. She and I were sure that Christine had some connection with our brother's death. Father dug a grave and piled stones on it. And for days he just sat and stared at the fire, mourning for Caesar. Our stepmother's wanderings continued. One day, Father again took down his gun to go hunting, but soon returned.
Would you believe it, Christine? The wolves, perdition to the whole breed, have dug up the body of my poor boy, and there's nothing left of him but bones.
Indeed. Then you must build a new grave.
Father, a wolf howls under our window every night.
Well, why didn't you tell me? Wake me the next time you hear it. I'll get that wolf.
Have you not yet learned that it is safest to leave wolves alone?
Why, Christine, your eyes are wild and you're almost snarling at me.
But I'm so afraid for you, dear husband.
We never heard the wolf howl under our window again. Oh, when at last spring came, and I helped my father with our small farm, Marcella was always with us, for we couldn't bear to have her out of our sight. Our stepmother stopped going out on her nightly rambles. One day, she came out to us and said she was going to collect some herbs Father wanted, and that Marcella must go to the cottage to watch the dinner. Well, Marcella obeyed, and we saw my stepmother disappear into the forest in the opposite direction, so felt no danger for my little sister. But about an hour later...
Marcella!
She's by herself!
Run, Herman, run! Great heaven. Look, the white wolf.
Slinking out of our cottage. Kill it, Father!
I have no gun. We're too late. It's gone. Oh, my little Marcella.
The wolf has hurt her terribly. She's bleeding, Father.
She's dying. Marcella. Marcella, my darling. Speak to me.
The white wolf.
What's wrong? Oh, how horrible. Poor child. Oh, it must have been that great white wolf which passed me just now and frightened me so.
She's quite dead.
Oh, my poor husband. How horrible. How horrible.
We dug a grave for my darling little sister and did everything we could to protect it against wolves. Oh, I was alone now. So awfully alone. But no longer afraid of my stepmother. My heart was full of hate and revenge. That very night, I saw Christine get up and go out of the cottage. I dressed quickly and half opened the door. The moon was very bright, and I could see Marcella's grave. But I saw something else. Something so horrible that I turned cold in my heart and ran to wake my father. Father, get up and dress. Hurry.
What? The wolves again? I'll be right there. Get my gun.
I have it, Father. Come.
Herman, stop. Who is that crouching on Marcella's grave? Christine.
Yes, in her white nightdress. She's digging with her hands.
She's throwing the stones behind her.
Her face is as cruel as a wild beast.
Oh, she's destroying Marcella's grave.
Your gun, Father, shoot.
Yes, my son, yes. Pray that my hand holds steady. Heaven forgive me. I have killed my beautiful Christine.
No, look, Father. The body on Marcella's grave. The body you've killed is not my stepmother. It's not Christine.
No, it's the white wolf. The white wolf which lured me into the forest. The white wolf that killed my children. Oh, I see it all now. My oath. My oath to the spirits of the Heart's Mountain.
Spirits of the Heart's Mountain. I take Christine for my wedded wife. I will ever cherish and love her. My hand shall never be raised to harm her. And if I fail in this my vow, may all the vengeance of the spirits fall upon me and upon my children. May they perish by the vulture or by the beasts of the forest. Poor fool mortal who had a werewolf. Your beautiful Christine, a werewolf.
A werewolf.
Stop, demon, stop! I shall go mad. Come, my son, my little Herman. You at least may escape this awful curse. We must flee for our lives, away from these evil forests, to the sea. There you'll be safe, my son. There you will be safe.
From the time-worn pages of the past, we have brought you the werewolf. Bellkeeper, toll the bell.
There will be another Weird Circle presentation at the Ogden's Playhouse next week at this same time. This is your invitation to join our story circle for a half hour of unusual radio entertainment. Meanwhile, remember the name Ogden's when in need of a cigarette tobacco. It's a name you won't forget after trying a cigarette rolled with this choice tobacco. Men who know a quality smoke prefer Ogden's. You, too, will prefer Ogden's after tasting its unequaled goodness. You'll find Ogden's easy to roll, delightful to smoke. Yes, easy to roll, delightful to smoke. Next week at this time, another Weird Circle story, The Old Nurse's Tale, by Elizabeth Gaskell. Be sure to listen. If you smoke a pipe, try Ogden's Cut Plug. It's a rich, smooth pipe tobacco.
That was the Weird Circle entitled The Werewolf. Well, that's it for this hour of Airchecks. Next hour, we will present more of Weird Circle. Stay tuned.